Okay, so this lady is introducing one of OAN's in the field reporters. His name's Christian Rose, and you're gonna find out that he understands, even with his thick accent from whatever country he immigrated from. He obviously came here because he understands the Constitution way better than even the political figures, most of the political figures in this short video clip, than the people who are elected officials. He understands the Constitution better than they do.
Congress Democrats intensify their attacks against Second Amendment rights in the immediate aftermath of a deadly school shooting in Florida. Investigation into the tragic incident is still in its early stages, and little information has been released to rush to conclusions related to gun control laws, as well as their applicability and enforcement.
This happens nowhere else other than the United States of America. It only happens here not because of coincidence, not because of bad luck, but as a consequence of our inaction.
Some Democrats calling for stricter gun control have admitted they are consciously politicizing mass shootings, backing it up by questionable claims the Second Amendment only serves the interests of a narrow group of people.
It's a gun lobby invention, this idea that you can't talk about policy change in the 24, 48 hours after a mass shooting. It is a political issue because the only way that this changes is by the laws of the country changing.
Just hours after the shooting, Democrat Colorado Senator Michael Bennet urged for action against gun rights, saying thoughts are not enough. His sentiment was echoed by California Democrat Representative Adam Schiff and House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, while New York Democrat Representative Yvette Clarke went as far as to explicitly call for sensible gun control. Democrats also call for gun-free zones, which only remain gun-free until a criminal shows up with a firearm. Meanwhile, Florida police say the perpetrator may have used...
That's right. The gun-free zones are only gun-free until someone who's ready to break the law shows up with a gun. This guy should run for Congress.
long gun similar to an AR-15. The Sunshine State already has AR-15 related regulations in place, which include requirements of a background check and prohibit the possession of such weapons by people addicted to drugs, having mental issues, and a record of misdemeanors. The 19-year-old assailant had been expelled from school, was involved in continued trouble with local law enforcement, and showed signs of either mental instability, drug addiction, or both.
We don't know how they got a hold of it. I mean, that's the most important point. I mean, how did it happen? Was it stolen? Did it belong to someone and they broke in and got it from a family member? I mean, I'm just speculating. We don't know. So I know that ATR's will be running those traces now, so we'll learn from that. We'll learn about how they got a hold of the ammunition.
This reveals the inconsistency of Democrat calls for tighter gun control measures, which only limit legal gun purchases. It is also unclear whether the perpetrator had a gun permit under the existing applicable laws, as even the toughest gun laws won't stop those who don't observe the law in the first place.
If a person...
That's right. Right? That's a bumper sticker. Right? If you outlaw guns, only criminals will have guns. These guys pretend like they don't understand it, but, you know, you can't blame an inanimate object for a sociopath.
Predisposed to commit such a horrific event, like go into a school and shoot people. If a person is going to drive a truck into a crowded area, if a person is committed to committing great carnage, there's not anybody or not a lot law enforcement can do about it, or any entity can do about it. The only things we can do are train very hard.
This comes amid calls to arm school teachers and encouraging a higher number of well-trained and prepared good guys with guns in high-risk areas. Meanwhile, Democrats have exploited every tragic shooting to push their agenda of taking firearms away from law-abiding citizens and making them increasingly helpless in the face of big government, which often happens to be weak on crime under Democrat leadership due to corruption and inefficiency. Christian Rose, One American News.
Right? So there it is. I mean, that guy hits the nail on the head right at the end. Is it any wonder that, people who understand the Constitution and love this country and feel like that they have a right to protect themselves don't trust themselves from an ever-invasive government that's recording all of your phone calls and videos and YouTube and Instagram or whatever, Facebook. They're editing all your stuff so that you can't get any constitutional messages out. They're violating the First Amendment. You can't say words. They want to take away the Second Amendment, right? The neocons working with the Democrats or quote-unquote liberals, do everything in the name of security until you're in the safest place in the world, a jail, right? It's just the Fourth Amendment. We have the FBI and the CIA, two organizations that are paid for by us that are spying on you. And the NSA is collecting everything you do. Is it any wonder that we have a Second Amendment? They want to listen to you and see everything you're doing so they can control you. They don't want you to drive. I think Americans understand that better than these politicians. I mean, Mr. Murphy from Connecticut, it is any wonder we don't trust you? Look at what you're doing. Ex-President Bush, ex-President Obama. Look at the stuff that you put in place. The founders of this country went to war over a 3% sales tax on tea. If they saw what you're doing, just so that you can prop yourself up and have dominion over the people that can pay you, it's no wonder we don't trust you. We're right in what we're doing. You're wrong. You're wrong. You were wrong. All in the name of security. Give everybody a gun. We'll secure the country. Right? That's another bumper sticker for you. It's already out there. America's original homeland security. The Second Amendment. Good luck, my fellow Americans, with these traitors in public office. So-called elected officials and agencies.